Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. So, this past weekend we did the roundup from would have been the roundup from 2 weeks ago, or well, but it's now technically the week before last. So today we'll be doing the roundup for this past week. It was a thing. Hopefully, it won't happen again. Fingers crossed. So, kicking these off, we've got Avengers X-Men Eternal Judgment Day, Starfox. So, earlier in the Judgment Day crossover, Cersei freed Starfox, and Starfox was ended up becoming Prime Eternal. And he had a plan, but his initial plan failed, so now it's on a plan B. His initial plan was to try and convince the progenitor to change its mind. That failed. So this issue goes into quite a bit into the origin of Starfox, and to a degree also his much more well-known brother Thanos. Though Thanos himself does not appear as a character in the issue, he is ever there. His presence is felt. I'll put it that way. Basic idea though is that Mentor and Suisan thought to create Eternals naturally. First came Thanos, and well, that was kind of deemed a bit of an aberration, a bit of a failure. So, but Suisan wanted to try again to prove that Mentor's opinion, that Mentor was right, and that this was something that was possible. And so Starfox was born. So it's explained. We have a little thing from the machine that is Earth, Doomsday scenario remaining. So the progenitor is using the machine that is Earth to destroy the world. Remaining strategies. Strategy 1 was engage and destroy the progenitor. That has failed. 2. A team inserts themselves inside the progenitor and try to activate its self-destruct. 3. Deploy forces to help the machine that is Earth resist the progenitor's commands to buy time for option 2 to succeed. 4. Remaining superheroic forces secure as much life as possible to ensure continuing life on the planet if option 2 is a success. Results. 1. Total failure. 2. Ongoing, no reports. 3. Machine has been reset to its defaults to slow the progenitor's attempts. 4. Attempts are forthcoming. The machine that is Earth is guiding forces to areas of events that will sharply accelerate extinction. But and Arrows does note that yeah, people are going a bit nuts, and well, as happens in times like these, lashing out at each other. But he tries to calm them down, though he kind of overdoes the calming part, and he's kind of, hey, not that calm. World's still ending. But he manages to get people to safety. We find out that it's another part of Starfox's origin is that he was linked to the machine that is Earth, or integrated with the machine, which was also which led to quite a surprise after his recent death. When he was used as the vessel for Thanos' resurrection. But we see how he reacted to learning of the destruction of Titan at his brother's hands. At one point, he comes upon a dying man under some rubble, and though he can't do anything to help the man, he can at least make his passing more pleasant. And that small kindness, he's doing what he can. In Olympia, he returns to Olympia to try and open the various teleportation nodes, though he's stopped by his uncle, Zuras. The whole Zuras is Mentor's brother, and the two of them had a rather hearty disagreement, shall we say, about the continuation of Eternals, with Mentor thinking, hey, why not make the Eternals natural? Why not have Eternals be born? Zuras was like, no. The system works fine the way it is. There's no need to change it. But Zuras and Eros duke it out. And he makes a deal. Because the Eternals won't believe Eros, but they'll believe Zuras. And so he says, hey, let's get through this. And, I'll, when this whole thing's over with, I'll back you as Prime Eternal. So the teleportation nodes are opened up. As many people as possible get in them. There are promises of snacks and drinks, though the snacks are extraordinarily high in carbohydrates. But hey, end of the world's a good excuse for a cheat day, right? Right? But yeah, and Eros does what he can to save all that he can. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, to be fair, I've never had the highest opinion of Starfox. Admittedly, I don't think I even knew he existed as a character until, 20 years ago, at most. Or maybe it was a passing mention of him in a book in the 90s, but when it came to the 90s in Marvel Comics, I was mostly just reading X-Men, so yeah, or Spider-Man. But and to be fair, most of his prior appearances before his appearance in Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy run, the emphasis was on the fact that his powers are the use of his powers is usually the ethics of his power use, more like. For example, he in She-Hulk during the Dan Slott run, he did stand trial for sexual harassment and similar crimes because of how his power works. So I always kind of looked at him as kind of being I've never had the highest opinion of him, but that was okay. That was I feel like that it also bears down to newer writers having different takes, and of course obviously a different situation. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got AXE X-Men, continuing the story from AXE Avengers. Where we left off in this particular miniseries, each one is numbered 1, but yeah. A strike team of Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals was in the Progenitor trying to activate self-destruct. The team consisted of Iron Man, Uh, Ajax, Cersei, and Makari, and Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Mr. Sinister. Um, so with in the first issue, Tony Stark had been judged, and realized that if the uh, if the Progenitor is still judging people, then that means they have a chance. Um, so as they progress through the Progenitor, Jean is trying to get updates on what's going on with elsewhere in this whole situation, but all she can get are images. She can't. No one can transmit through the Celestial. Sinister is being his usual amusingly sacrilegious self, though the Eternals don't take kindly to it. They get to basically the energy monitoring facility, or heart. It's heart, and it's a giant cosmic fireball, which Jean parts for the team. But midway through, she's hit with some with psionic backlash. And her judgment comes with initially seeming to relive her arrival at Xavier's school, with the Progenitor taking the form of Xavier. But obviously, the main thing held over her by the Progenitor is her actions as the Dark Phoenix. Other decisions are also made, such as her decision to leave the Quiet Council after Ten of Swords. She could have voted against the initial strike team the initial strike on the Progenitor, for example, but she wasn't. She had left the council, so she couldn't. She couldn't prevent that. Sinister is able to barge in to help with Wolverine into Jean's mind to help Jean. With Wolverine stating that the Progenitor's got Xavier's patronizing tone down. But she continues her judgment continues, with the Progenitor even bringing up the fact that he judged Scott, and Scott said, that claimed that Jean was someone he should fear. And so some character witnesses are brought out, namely Sinister and Wolverine, with Sinister explaining he cloned Jean, but he couldn't clone her. He made something else several times, some better than others, but none better than her. She is unique. She's unique, and therefore has a certain value. Honesty, apparently, is painful for Sinister. Wolverine states that the Progenitor doesn't get to judge someone like Jean. And Jean tries to plead her case, basically just kind of say, hey, every day I try to make up for the planet I destroyed as the Dark Phoenix. Though, as far as the Progenitor is concerned, she is the Phoenix now and forever. But she says that she failed. But Logan tries to, gives her a pep talk, and they continue on. And she decides, so she failed. Hell with it. She failed for destroying a world, while the Progenitor is planning to destroy the Earth. She ain't buying into the Progenitor's hypocrisy. that is where the issue ends. I don't think we have a definitive release day for AXE Eternals. This seems to be near the end of the month. So, yeah. So, a few more weeks we'll have that. Moving on to our next book, we've got X-Men Red, number 7. Where we left off, yeah. Things were, Uranus had been defeated by Magneto, seemingly giving his all, making his final act. His final act was to defeat Uranus, and he dies. Basically, telling Storm to do what she can to help Charles. Back on Arakko, the members of the Great Ring once again meet. Though this is so it's like I can't lose, so yeah. She makes a few. But the Fisher King has she's a challenge to her. A contest of understanding. To be won by one who most truly understands the meaning of loss. There's a text page explaining everything that she goes through before she drops to her knees and says that she understands, and she resigns from the Great Ring. I think she does not belong to the seat of victory, or in any seat at all, because she is not of Arakko and can never be. She can never lose. And at that moment, the presenter looks upon her, then he gives it a thumbs up. And so, the rebuilding of the Great Ring begins. Though, Storm advocates the regent's seat for Horus Hirata. And then she takes the seat of she takes the seat of loss, claims the seat of loss on this day. Meanwhile, on Sword Station 2, WizKid and Cable are trying to get the station back up and running, but and also trying to see what Brand is up to. But it's explained that the Keep is a reality warp duplicate of the Peak, not just a copy, but the same station in two places at once. Kind of like two particles in quantum entanglement. The information of the Peak wants to flow to the Keep, including Brand's files. She was just record. Her last backup was 6 days ago. Whether that backup included all her secrets, WizKid doesn't know, but she won't want to make the same any moves twice. So she'll have left notes for herself. What she did in those 6 days, what she didn't. And Cable and WizKid will see those notes as she's accessing them. And WizKid suggested, if Brand did kill Gyrick, which she did, it suggested that be taken to Nightcrawler rather than the Council. but this kid sees something that is just that big. What it is that Bran's been doing. Presumably, what they see is her work is the fact she's working with Orcus, which understandably makes Cable more than a little angry, and that is where the issue ends. Okay. I figured that eventually the truth would come out when it comes to Bran being a however many times over agent. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Crisis: The Deadly Green. So I'm covering this before Dark Crisis number 5 because it's referenced in Dark Crisis number 5. But yeah, so in Dark Crisis number 4, Alan Scott, the Green Lantern Alan Scott, took Nightwing, Superman, and Wonder Girl, Yara Flor, into the basement of the Hall of Justice, which is basically where the Justice League Dark has their magical base, so to speak, their magical Hall of Justice, for a seance. The issue begins with Obsidian and Jade, the son and daughter of Alan Scott, arriving at the Hall of Justice and going downstairs to meet with their father. But basically, Obsidian is being tasked with basically getting some darkness into Alan's ring, while Raven, Constantine, Superman, and the Swamp Things go in to perhaps access to see if the darkness really is corrupted or not. And so, Obsidian puts this teeny bit of darkness into the ring, and everyone goes in. But Alec Holland is now is merged with the other Swamp Thing, Levi. But there's no true up or down, and so Superman, it makes it hard for Superman to fly, and Raven can't teleport either. However, also not with him is Constantine, which is something they do notice. He appears to be in some dark realm with neither an up nor a down. And the darkness solidifies into a form which talks to Constantine. And suggests that perhaps the darkness has always been there, just waiting for the right opportunity. The darkness, however, is also beginning to slightly corrupt Swamp Thing and Superman. Raven, of course, being the daughter of Trigon, she is also having to deal with the dark. It's explained that she always deals with the darkness inside of her. Swamp Thing and Superman are a little note the fact it seems like they're moving in circles, and so they figure, as they're being slightly corrupted, little by little, they assume that this is Raven's doing, that she's completely embraced the darkness. But Alan Scott is having, Alan Scott's mind is reacting to everything that's going on, and Obsidian is doing what he can to mitigate things. Back with Constantine, the entity he's been talking to takes the form of Trigon. And it's basically just, done to belittle John. And he's just like, yeah, I don't really care. Darkness, light, yeah, they exist in all of us. But the most interesting parts are somewhere in the middle there. But Swamp Thing, or Raven is able to basically uncorrupt Superman, and when Swamp Thing goes after her, Superman stops him, and she can't move any closer. She can't get any closer to it. But though she's being drawn, she can't get closer to the darkness within Alan Scott. Jade and Obsidian then actually go to help Alan control his mind, so to speak. And Swamp Thing basically turns himself into a living suit of green armor for Superman. Then Constantine, the entity, at the very least takes the form of, has changed its form once again from Trigon to seemingly Lucifer. It's slightly hinted that it actually is Lucifer, but yeah. Jade, Obsidian, and Green Lantern work together. And they manage to get through everything, and Alan passes out promptly. Superman enters the realm of darkness within Alan Scott's mind and pulls something out that's stuck in the darkness. After Lucifer bids Constantine goodbye, he points to say, "Hey, remember next time you think about knocking on my door for a favor, remember this moment." But the team manages to come back, and what they found was Pariah's machine that started the first crisis, lodged within the darkness, making it clear that the great darkness has been corrupted. That is where the issue ends. And yes, it's true. Pariah has corrupted the great darkness in an attempt to bring back his Earth, which he accidentally destroyed, which kind of set off the first crisis. Moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 5. I don't like that long title. Also, it just feels hammy. It not hammy. It feels like saying, "Hey, Crisis on Infinite Earth was bad, so and everyone loves it. So if we make that the title, you'll buy it, right?" Yeah, it does feel kind of desperate. Like I said, I do love this cover. Sadly, not all the characters on there appear in the issue as members of the League, but yeah. So we open up with the Battle of the Legion of Doom. As more members of the Legion are taken over by the darkness, all that's left is Black Adam. But Mr. Terrific, Supergirl, Jackson Hyde, and I don't know the teleporter show up, and it's explained that Adam's Justice League communicator was still on. So now they know that Deathstroke and his army have grown and are corrupt, are part of the whole thing. But Nightwing decides that Deathstroke wants to fight. It's time they give him one. Meanwhile, Pariah has brought back the Infinite Earths. But more life is needed for them. On Earth, Batman, Flash, and Hal Jordan are dealing with Batman, but the prison world seems to be fading. Hal's ring is no longer hidden from his sight, but Hal shows Bruce what he needs to see to know the truth, and what he needs to see is the Bat family. Oracle has been tasked with calling together everyone. Mr. Rick states that one team is needed to investigate and try to contain the spreading darkness. With with Alan Scott saying that the JSA can help there. Turns out some of the lead allies have rejected the call, though a few new faces have come up. Red Canary, for example. So it seems the Titans are taking on Deathstroke, which with Cyborg think just like old times. This includes the remaining students from Titans Academy, including Crush and Beast Boy, rocking an eye patch just like Slade. The JSA leaves with Alan Scott telling Nightwing to make sure that they have an Earth to come back to. But when Superman comes in with Prize Machine explaining what they discovered in the Deadly Green one-shot. But apparently Damien has a plan, though, which will be further expanded upon in the upcoming Dark Crisis of the Dark Army one-shot. But Wally, Wallace, and Jesse Quick show up, telling that they've got incoming Deathstroke's Dark Army. And it's explained that Deathstroke is a target. Black Adam tries to stop. Says that if they go after the Dark Army, well, they march to their deaths. And he adds that they're not the Justice League, which Nightwing says that they never were. They never were the Justice League. They're the Titans. And the heroes go out to, rush into battle, like heroes do. Though Ravager, who's since been corrupted by the darkness, instructs her to kill Nightwing. The Justice League are mostly come back together. Bruce, Diana, Hal, and Barry are on Earth Superman to retrieve Superman, though he already realized that it's an imaginary world. But it's destabilized. The Justice League freeing themselves is destabilizing the reborn multiverse, as all of them return from their own personal Earths. And But the sky on Earth Zero has turned red, and so Pariah travels from planet Riot to Earth, bringing his dark army with him, but leaving his machine up so that, which allows Justin to figure out where he's gone. But yeah, the Dark Army showing up in front of the Hall of Justice is definitely a crap your pants moment for diving in as Titans. Deathstroke and most of the Heroes' villains are one thing. Throw in Darkseid, Necron, Doomsday, various others. Yeah, it gets it's a bit much. That is where the issue ends. I have been critical of some of the decisions that DC has made with this event, but overall, I am enjoying it. I like the big. I do enjoy the big events where pretty much everyone gets involved. So yeah. Moving on to our last word for the moment, we've got Magic the Gathering number 19. Where we left off, first off, yes, this is the Secret Planeswalker variant, so let's see who our Secret Planeswalker is. Cameo. Pre-completion. But the planeswalking barricade around Ravnica has been brought down. Mainly by Nico Eris and Chandra, Garuk, Ral, Vraska, and Kaya, and Jace. Well, they put out a call for allies. Angrath, Teferi, Will and Rowan, Liliana, Vivienne Reed, and a few others who I'm not entirely sure of the identities. Huatley shows up though. Got a flying dinosaur. But yeah, as Cesar is still occupying the steel body of the steel body of the Mizzix, the Mizium body of Niv Mizzet. Well, he's able to control the. He is continuing to act the part of being in charge of the guilds. Ajani is among those who show up, and he heals Vraska. Jace Bellerin, Jace's ghost, has figured a way to basically turn the forces of Ravnica against Tezzeret by bringing forth his friend, the ghost of Niv Mizzet, who explains that they've been duped and yeah, Tezzeret has taken over. Though the Boros Legion is not entirely happy because they do want Vraska to answer for the death of Aurelia. Vraska admits to this and say initially, Aurelia attacked us, but the reason she killed Aurelia was because she hated Aurelia as much as Aurelia hated her. But she'll accept judgment of the Guild Pact once all this is over. And so the Boros, the Dimir, everyone is going after Tezzeret. But, well, Tezzeret does still have a few tricks up his sleeve and has Tybalt activate his legions, the Guildpact Guard. And so the Guildpact Guard come out in force as I see Arlen Court is among the Planeswalkers present. As our heroes make their way through the Guildpact Guard, however, it's revealed that they are all clones of Jace Beleren. But there's Niv Mizzet has taken Ral to Nivix, home of the Izzet League, and instructed him to, let loose of the lightning into Nivix, which is now the tower that walks. 20-story war machine possessed by the soul of a dragon. Yeah. In Tezzeret's lab, Nico is attempting to escape, but he's found something that has caught his eye. Though in the same room as that which has caught his eye, likely it's the Hidden Planeswalker from the Hidden Planeswalker miniseries. Tybalt is behind the door, waiting, dagger in hand. That is where the issue ends. I'm seriously loving this series. It kills me this isn't considered canon for Magic the Gathering. I think this makes for a nice addition to the stories told in these last 19 issues would make for, as well as the Hidden Planeswalker and so forth, make for excellent additions to the Magic the Gathering canon. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal account in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.